Oh, yes.
Thank you, President Trump.
What the
Let's
hell?
take a quick...
Oh, no. Yes. Yes. Now we're up. Let's see. Hello, Instagram. What's going on? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm not allowed to, you weren't allowed to hear that phone call. I'll call you back. Welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's the greatest live stream in the world. It's HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. I am indeed HAL Sparks, and I shall be for the rest of the evening. As for tomorrow, we just don't know. I've been thinking about it, and I have to say I'm enjoying being HAL Sparks. Obviously, if you listen to the QAnons, you know by now that I am a lizard from the planet Centuria Fonzica. My way of speaking, it sounds different in my language than it does in yours. But I've been living in this guy's skin for a little while, and I gotta say, it's pretty cozy. Luckily, I'm very small, so it's roomy in here. Yes, I'm a Zandozan. That's right, Ranger Gooseman. So yes, hello. Allegedly Hal says hello. I am HAL Sparks, and I will be HAL Sparks for all your HAL Sparks needs for the near future. Now, when I last left you, before family took precedent over everything else, chat room, we were exploring the world of Donald Trump going to Noticias Univision, a Univision notice, something, Nueva news situation from, he was taking questions. And it was just starting to get spicy. And so we go there now. Welcome to Space Station Comms Link. This is where we will get to. Lots of actors are tiny. No, it's not that we're tiny. It's that we have giant heads. It makes us look better on film. Apparently that's Dustin Hoffman's secret. She has an enormous melon. Heed, pants, knee. All right, now, and by the way, I have to check, because sometimes I plug this thing in, and sometimes it works, and other times I just don't know, and it's hard to say. Skip for now, proceed anyways, into your untested, hey, it works, look at that. Yeah. Yay! You guys heard that, right? Not just me. Moon River. Fabulous. We're back. It's so nice when, because I don't have the best words.
I know words. I have the best words.
He's got them, but I do not. I say things like origins.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges.
Which just does not have that kind of poetic flair. All right, now, let's go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We begin again where we left off. They're just about to go to break, and they'll come back from the break.
Quick break again, and we'll be right...
By the way, Univision just slapping with the prog metal break music, not fucking around. Just, what are there, like 9 guitar tracks in that? Just in the lead alone? I'm not even talking about the rhythm bed. Good Lord. All right, here we go. Back to answering questions that Trump can't materially comprehend in any way.
And our audience, and as you know, the topics we have touched upon, employment.
Oh, I know.
and Health Immigration, Ramiro Gonzalez, has a question.
Oh, this guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness a moment of glory, the birth of a new hero, the origin story. Sorry, not origin. I keep using that word.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges.
Right, the oranges story of this fella. By the way, neck tattoo, I think. I don't think that's just a stain from his collar. Okay, so this guy allegedly, Republican voters saying, hey, you lost my vote with your bullshit on Jan 6. Win it back, buddy. This is your shot.
Florida, in Tampa, as you know, Florida got hit with 2 major hurricanes in the last 2 weeks. Por favor, Ramiro.
Buenas noches, señor Trump.
Also, did they touch him up during the break and make him more orange? Good fucking Lord.
2 major hurricanes in the last 2 weeks.
Look, what is happening? Either that or they're trying to make his tie look as red as possible and the contrast is all fucked up. Also, blend, motherfucker, blend.
Por favor, Ramiro.
Buenas noches, señor Trump. Good evening, Mr. Trump.
Buenas noches. That means good evening. Thank you. Thank you for the good evening. Thank you for wishing me a buenos. Some would even say noches. Thank you for putting the buenos in my noches.
Okay. I am a Republican, no longer registered, though.
So this would be a Haley Republican or somebody who's just fucking embarrassed. And rightly so. This is a man with standards. Politically, we probably would disagree on some policies, but overall, he might have just been suckered by the fake Butch Trump bullshit. We'll see. How do I put this? You, sir, are a fucking asshole.
I want to give you the opportunity to try to win back my vote. Okay. Your, I'd say, action and maybe inaction during your presidency and the last few years sort of, was a little disturbing to me. What happened during January 6th and the fact that, you waited so long to take action while your supporters were attacking the Capitol. Coronavirus, I thought the public was misled during coronavirus, and that many more lives could have been saved if we would have been informed better. And also people in your administration who don't support you. I'm curious how people so close to you and your administration no longer want to support you, so why would I want to support you? If you would answer these questions for me, I would really appreciate it and give you the opportunity. There's, your own vice president doesn't want to support you now.
Thank you, Ramiro.
So the people that don't support a very small portion, we have a tremendous...
Okay. No. You can't choose everybody that works in the administration. You can't call in an airstrike from the deep state and go, a bunch of people didn't say they hate me, so they must be for me. They still work in government with Biden. They were there under Obama. Like, it's horseshit. Like, he wants the deep state to be his fucking cover. The people he picked, the people he chose, the vast majority of them, 98% of the people that he actually got positions for, not just like his hangers-on, like Stephen Miller and other folks, the people he actually got in his cabinet, in his joint chiefs, his chief of staff, his lawyers, like everybody who actually had to work with him fucking can't stand the dude, doesn't trust him, wouldn't let him borrow their car, much less babysit their kids or something genuinely important. That, like, you don't get to just claim that there are millions of, there are hundreds of thousands of federal workers and they haven't all come out against you.
It's about 97% of the people in the administration support me.
Not even close. It's the exact opposite.
But because it's me, somebody doesn't support, they get a little publicity.
No. The people with names that you appointed, you gave them their Jesus Christ. Yeah, 41 out of 44. Like, the closest people. The people that aren't coming out against him are the people who are like, I didn't hear anything about that. I work in a basement.
The vice president, I disagree with him on what he did. I totally
What did he do? Not get hanged?
disagreed with him on what he did. Very importantly, you had hundreds of thousands of people.
Now this dude is seriously giving me what vibe? I'm getting a little bit of like this guy, the De Niro that he shows his kids. Fuck are you doing? Huh? What are you talking about? Huh? What kind of bullshit is this? You fucking what? What?
People come to Washington. They didn't come because of me. They came because of the election. They thought the
No, they came because you told them you had won the election and you ginned them up. You said, come on January 6th. It'll be wild.
election was a rigged election, and that's why they came. Some of those people went down to the Capitol. I said peacefully and patriotically.
Bullshit. Early in the speech, he said peacefully and patriotically. It was in the actual remarks. And then the rest of the speech, he's like, you're going to have to fight like hell or you're not going to have a country left. And if Mike Pence doesn't have the strength to do it, we're going to have to show him what strength looks like. And shit like that. Like the whole walk down there peacefully and patriotically. What you do when you get there, though, that's between you and me. Which effectively said it like, sneak up on them. Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes.
Nothing done wrong at all. Nothing done wrong.
At all, nothing done wrong. What he means is, this is the perfect call nonsense. I didn't say it in a way that I can be legally charged, I think. That's what he means. On his part. It doesn't mean nothing done wrong by the people that went up there. He means by him. Those people who went up there and did that shit, they're on their fucking own. They were just mad about the election. Yeah. By the way, hit the like, share the show. It's a brand new episode, so if you haven't hit that like yet, please do so. It helps us out in the algorithm, and it boosts us up and makes the maggots see us.
And action was taken, strong action. Ashley
This lady.
Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed. There were no...
That's my favorite. This lady, Ashley Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed. Yeah, that makes sense. But like I said, what did I tell you early on? In the beginning, you see a lot of hands like this. By this point in it, which is, I mean, he's only halfway through. He's about 30 minutes in. Everybody's like, fuck you. The body language in this entire room is like they're fucking over it. Okay, back this up.
Taken strong action. Ashley Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed. There were no guns down there. We didn't have guns.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. Okay. First of all, may I? This is Ashley Babbitt's knife. I would like to say this is the knife that Ashley Babbitt had in her bag. Ashley Babbitt was also intending to participate with a mob that was going to hang Mike Pence. She was there with a group of people that were there to hang Mike Pence. Now, this is a knife that'll get the job done if you need to kill somebody. It's also easy to sneak around. It's also good if you're trying to, cut rope for gallows and the like. You see? Okay. She had this on her. Try entering a federal building with a knife. Any size, but this one. Okay? This one's just fine. Don't do it. I'm just telling you. Okay. The other thing is. Guns on January 6th. There were a variety of weapons in the crowd, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Let's see if I can find the guy firing his gun at the thing. Where's the guy? Yeah. The dude who fired his gun into... Yeah. So this, I'll show you this. This guy, see this guy right here with the gas mask on and the military backpack and stuff? It was just, he had it in his car. Everybody's got just a don't tread on me flag and a fucking flak vest and a military backpack with God knows what in it and gas, a full-on military gas mask. This guy... Capitol rioter who was armed with a gun on January 6th found guilty on all charges. Christopher Alberts had a gun on his hip when he charged up the stairs of the Capitol on January 6th, and he later yelled at police officers before he was arrested. That would be just one of the guns recovered. Everybody does this whole, like, there were no guns recovered. There were plenty of guns recovered. That was just one of them. Let's see. Guy firing gun Jan 6th. Yeah, here you go. How about this guy? Trump supporter charged with firing a gun during the January 6th Capitol attack. That's this guy. There's his gun, by the way. Does anybody think he's the only one with a gun? And I think they might even... Yeah, that's him again. And there he is on the front of the line. There he is. And that's him firing the gun into the air. This is January 6th footage. That would be a gun. That would be smoke. That would be a gun being fired in the air. It took me all of about 12 seconds to find two guns. Fuck Donald Trump and his fucking bullshit. Just saying.
The others had guns, but we didn't have guns. And
yeah, they that guy had a gun. That guy fired a gun. That guy was arrested and sentenced and went to jail for having a gun. Trump supporter charged with firing a gun during Jan 6 attack. Let's see. There we go. Trump supporter there. The Jan 6 footage appears to show a rider firing a gun in the air. Yeah, John Banuelos. What to know about the January 6th shooter arrested? Hold on. Two gunshots, a fatal stabbing, and the mystery of a man at the Capitol riot. Outside the U.S. Capitol, he wore a red coat. He wore a red coat and he held a gun. It was January 6, 2021, and the gunman stood on scaffold above the West Plaza. Oh dear, it was a flag waving mob against the county line and rape. The 38 revolver towards the sky, and he pulled the trigger. Never shot his eye. Oh, the guy with the gun at the Capitol. All right. This is a serious topic. I apologize. It was wrong of me to never go full Elvis when you're talking about guns. Not a good idea. Pulled the trigger twice, shot the gunshots made a dull cracking. The sound in the winter afternoon. Below him, a few riders seemed to cheer faintly in response. The man yelled something, the crowd waving a gun in his left hand. Then he put it away, climbed down the scaffold, and disappeared. His name was John Banuelos. According to federal authorities, despite having evidence that he brought a gun to the riot, the FBI did not arrest him until 3 years later. No, this is why there's this whole, like, they didn't find any guns at the thing. They didn't find any guns at the Capitol. Nobody was busted with a gun that day. Yeah, because they arrested him later using the footage that they filmed themselves like fucking assholes. Still at large, July 2021, when he took part in a fight in Salt Lake City that left another man dead. Adorable. No responsible gun owner would watch the video of January 6th and say, that was okay to do that. As I explored the mysteries of Banuelos and his many brushes with the justice system, I reached out to the family of Christopher Sen, the 19-year-old who was killed by Banuelos in an incident the authorities call self-defense. I sent a text message to Victoria Thomas, a retired school principal who took in Sen as a foster child and treated him like her son. She wrote back almost immediately. Chris did not deserve to be killed, and no one should get away with killing anyone, but John got away with it and probably will hurt someone else. I found police and court records that show a startling pattern involving Banuelos. He's accused of violent crime. He's arrested. Sometimes witnesses fail to appear in court. Sometimes the charges are dropped for other reasons not explained in court dockets. Sometimes he's found guilty and sentenced to probation or supervision. One way or another, he goes free, and the cycle begins again. Over the years, according to reports I obtained, various people made the following accusations against Banuelos. He kicked and punched someone who was waiting for a school bus. He tried to push someone out of a moving vehicle. He dragged a woman out of a car by her hair. He bit a boy on the ear. He trespassed in the apartment of a woman who came home to find him there, along with a Doberman pinscher. He told his girlfriend he would beat her if she called the police. None of these cases resulted in jail or prison because we have a two-tiered justice system that torments Trump fans. A rap sheet from the Chicago Police Department lists 20 of his arrests in Illinois, most of them for misdemeanors. Only one jail sentence of 90 days after he fled from a police officer in a motor vehicle. He's 39. He struggled with homelessness and substance abuse. 23 police report had been admitted to a hospital psychiatric unit for undisclosed reasons. But the most striking part of the story unfolded over 180 days in 2021, from January 6th to Independence Day. In those days after the gunfire at the Capitol, both local and federal authorities had informed that they might have diverted Ben Willis from Liberty Park in Salt Lake City and away from his fateful meeting with Chris Sen. Chris Sen was a survivor until the day he met John Ben Willis. Long after Chris was gone, his friend remembered the frozen mouse. The story hinted at Chris's tragic relationship with the world. They were boys who met in a foster home. Chris would be jarring like that. Okay, he said, what did he survived as a little boy? His body hinted at something frightening. There were scars on his back, strange marks on his legs. This is the Chris Sen kid that was stabbed. That's him, I guess. Yeah, Christopher Sen was killed in July 2021 during an altercation with Ben Willis. He was 19 years old. Ben Willis is 39 at this point. Chris was one of the people the story grows long after they're gone. When we met for breakfast, Victoria Thomas, her husband Randall, and their grown-up daughter Talisha did their best to hold it together while sharing their favorite memories of Chris. I loved every minute I had with Chris, every minute. We got frustrated and scared, so you run, hit and bite, and then the school kicks you out, and the school district won't let you return. This is stuff about his troubled past. And then Ben Willis fell off of law enforcement's radar until he reappeared as a rioter on January 6th. This is the guy who brought a gun. We didn't have any guns. We were not violent. We didn't do any violent things. We just showed up with guns and fired them into the air.
When I say we, these are people that walked down. This was a tiny percentage of the overall, which no.
By the way, one of the reasons Trump bullshits about the size of his crowd on that day was so that the group that hit the Capitol looked smaller by comparison. He keeps talking about like there was a fucking million people there. There were not. Does anyone believe that if there was a crowd the size he was talking about, that it was just overwhelming? Holy shit. There are so many people here that they didn't take pictures of it. That they just managed not to have coverage of it at all. They just didn't. Nobody had a drone. Nobody had, could take a picture from a tall building nearby. That he wouldn't have people out there. Right. It's about 53,000. Right. Max. That was it. The sprawling number. It was probably closer to 40. That was the biggest number they gave was 53. Not anywhere near the number he says it is. He was saying like a fucking million people. A huge percentage. About 8,000 of those people proceeded towards the Capitol. About 3,000 of them went in and forced their way through. About 2,000 remained on the steps at some particular point and got diverted. Yeah, 30,000. DC police said 30,000. Yeah, it was nowhere near. Otherwise, you'd have a giant picture. But the point is, at that point, if it's 30,000, let's say the DC police number is 30,000 and they hold to that. That means 10% of them attack the Capitol violently. And another 5% were there assisting or pushing through with the intent to like hold spaces in there. They weren't there to hang anybody or beat anybody up. But once the door was kicked in, they would gladly walk through it and hold the territory. But he's got to make that number look huge so the people who attack the Capitol look smaller by comparison, like a small percentage.
Nobody sees and nobody shows. But
well, then show it, motherfucker. It was a campaign event. You don't have pictures of it? Why not?
that was a day of love from the standpoint.
A day of love from the standpoint of what?
Point of the millions. It's like hundreds.
That's the best, but like that dude's like head flip is fucking glorious. Love. Watch him. He doesn't even like go upright like love. He does a full like love. That was a windshield wiper move.
But that was a day of love from the standpoint of the millions.
That was like, motherfucker, what? Like, that was everything. Secondly, no, it wasn't. It was a violent, shitty, poorly planned, attempted insurrection by a bunch of maggots, morons, and their idiot leaders who, thank God, are as dumb as this son of a bitch.
It's like hundreds of thousands. It could have been the largest group I've ever spoken before.
Gibberish.
They asked me to speak. I went.
They asked me to speak. Again, this is him passing the buck. He does this every fucking time. Everybody wanted Roe v. Wade. This person came very highly recommended. They asked me to speak. This wasn't even my event. Bullshit. When they were organizing this thing, there was an intention that he would actually lead the marchers down there. But to do that, because he would be doing it as a campaign, as a and as a private citizen, effectively, he wouldn't have the power of the presidency for this particular act. Because it is effectively like you're a lame duck at that point, but you certainly can't marshal up a small militia on your own without invoking the Insurrection Act, which was partly what they talked about, without setting off some alarm bells. And if they said, I'm gonna lead a bunch of these, I'm gonna have this huge rally, and then I'm gonna lead these fuckers down to the Capitol, you goddamn straight there'd be a ton of like National Guard and police. They would have tripled the number of personnel there, quadrupled it. They have 10 times the number of cops they had that day if they knew he was coming. If they'd gotten a permit and said, we're walking down to the Capitol, they'd have put those gates up. They would have had fucking 3 rows of National Guard guys standing on the stairs protecting the place just in case. And that's why he took it out. He wanted it to be a sneak attack. He knew that if they were prepared, they'd have no fucking shot of making it into the building or doing anything. So he and his people decided, take it out, and you'll say it, the whole, and I'm going to go with you. That was off the cuff, right? Like, you're going to march down there, go down peacefully and patriotically. That's in the teleprompter. But I'm going to go with you is not in the teleprompter for a very specific reason. Both, in terms of the security of the Capitol, in terms of letting them know ahead of time what his plans were, and that he'd have to actually get a permit for a march if he was leading it.
And I spoke, and I used the term peacefully and patriotically. If you look at the Democrats, what they say, you look at Maxine Waters, and you look at Hillary Clinton, and you look at what they say, and they don't put that on. They only put Republicans on. But they couldn't get me because of the fact that I said everything's got to be peaceful and patriotic.
See that? They couldn't get me because I said everything's got to be peaceful and patriotic. Hey, asshole, they're going to get you. Jack Smith is in the process of getting you. None of those phrases make it a get out of jail free card. You instigated what was effectively a riot by telling those people, whether or not you were honest about wanting to go with them, that you were going to go down there with them, that you were going to walk down there too. By doing that, you made a bunch of these assholes think we're with our president. We've basically been deputized.
Patriotic. And we'll see how it all works out, but
I'll tell you how it's going to work out. He's going to fucking jail over it. He's going to be convicted on multiple charges related to this because there is a ton of communications between Mark Meadows and Bannon and Roger Stone and Trump's office, and Mark Meadows has flipped effectively because he doesn't want to go to jail for a fucking decade over this shit. And so they have all talked about how, those guys have talked about how he arranged this part. And that crucial aspect of it, the fact that they were going to put it in the speech, and then they found out they had to get a permit, and if they got a permit, security would be too strong to make it through, so they took it out, and it was meant to be a sneak attack. And the reason he suggested 10,000 soldiers, by the way, is because he believed he could get 10,000 National Guard soldiers and do the Insurrection Act and basically order them all to turn around and take the Capitol. He'd surround the Capitol with 10,000 National Guard troops for God knows why, because again, hindsight being 2020, nobody knew there was going to be a riot that day except the people that intended to carry it out. Right? So if he wanted those people there, those Where was he going to get those National Guard troops from? Where was he going to get them from? Were they all going to be Maryland? No. He wanted to bring up ones from Texas and all the states that sued Georgia.
I think that we're right now.
Yes, Giuliani's one of them too.
In another election, all I want is honest elections. I'm willing to take any chance. I want honest elections. We need borders and we need honest elections. And if we don't have either of those two things, that's it. We have tremendous loyalty to the Trump administration. Biden, when he lost in Afghanistan, when he looked...
This guy, like, and I feel this dude's furrowed brow right now. We have tremendous loyalty to the Trump administration. Are you talking about the people that I brought up that don't like you anymore? Or are you talking about your fucking mini dipshit militia? The QAnons and that stuff? Because it's not really clear, and I think Trump means both.
Looked so bad. That's why Putin went into Ukraine, in my opinion. He looked and he saw he should have fired every general involved in that. There was a disaster. He should have fired a lot of people because he had the most.
And I gotta say, this is fucking magic. It's just fucking magic. Because look at Trump squirming as this guy is like, I don't think so. Trump never encounters people like this. Certainly not in the news media, and definitely not in his regular life or in his organization. He's at that phase. He's in the Michael Jackson Space General, going outfit that when he was wearing it to court. Remember when Michael Jackson showed up at court in his Space General outfit? You know that there was an adult somewhere going, Mike, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't get on top of the car, but I wouldn't wear the Space General outfit. It's not the kind of thing. And he was like, I'm not going to let that wear my Space General outfit like a toddler. And so they had to let him wear his Space General outfit to court. And it was terrible for him, right? This is the same kind of shit. Trump is wearing his Space General outfit to court, period. And he's not, and nobody can tell him no, or he'll flip out.
Unsuccessful administration in the history of our country. A disaster, acknowledged. I, again, had the best economy we've ever had. I rebuilt our military. I defeated ISIS. I did things that nobody thought in terms.
Also, ISIS is who? It was an ISIS-K fighter that killed the soldiers in Afghanistan. And let me say that again for people in the cheap seats. In case we have any maggots or trolls here. Hi, guys. Thanks for being here, by the way. You spread us out through the algorithm like nobody else can. So thanks so much. But it was an ISIS-K suicide bomber that killed our soldiers and wounded our soldiers and killed, 175 Afghans that day. It was an ISIS-K fighter. So he didn't obliterate ISIS. He didn't get rid of ISIS. What they mean is they ended the caliphate that they were trying to build in the Kurdish territories, of Iraq and Syria and that outlying area, that they broke it up. And that had been going on for a long time. And the reason he did it so fast was because he took out all the rules of engagement that would limit the amount of civilian deaths. And so again, this is not even a question. He'd brag about it if you ask him. He'll go, yeah, I took off the ROE. It was Obama put those on. It was slowing everything down. It was also keeping us from printing more terrorists while we got rid of terrorists. That's kind of the reason you care about civilian deaths, even if you don't have a fucking soul, right? But I'd like, just to be abundantly clear, he did not end ISIS. And every time he brings it up, there's got to be a decent amount of the electorate that goes, wasn't it an ISIS-K fighter? ISIS actually blew up Soleimani's funeral in Iran. This asshole doesn't know whose side he's on.
In terms of medical right to try, I got right to try where you could use space age, things that wouldn't be approved for another 5 or 10 years. You were able to use it.
Well, they're space aged, and we haven't entered the space age yet. So maybe one day.
And we saved thousands and thousands of lives. But and
lost a bunch, too, because they're experimental treatments that might not work.
87% of the people in my administration supported me. When you fire somebody, they say bad things. When I fire a John Bolton or when I fire any of these people, he was terrible.
You didn't fire him. Somebody else fired him for you because you didn't have the guts to do it yourself. And I think it was one of those things like he resigned and you said you fired him. I want to actually hold on. Like, hold on. Yeah, so this is the story of him firing John Bolton. Trump fires John Bolton as National Security Advisor. Well, he's no Mike Flynn, right? But announced on Twitter he had asked the National Security Advisor to resign. Now it happened. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told reporters at a briefing that Trump asked Bolton for his resignation last night, and it was received this morning. Source: Bolton's out because the leaking is what got him. There are a lot of well-documented problems regarding John Bolton, but at the end, the leaking is what got him, according to a source who was talking to President Trump about the former national security advisor, specifically in the president's view, telling reporters things about Camp David summit that made Trump look bad. The part where he wanted to bring the fucking Taliban. There's a lot Trump can take. Leaking is not one. Absolutely. He hates it in a diaper, but it happens all the time. He has been a bureaucratic infighter his whole life, and it finally hurt him, the source said, whatever source that fucking is. Bolton and Mnuchin repeatedly clashed. Again, it's like watching an anaconda fight an alligator. You're like, well, at least I know I can get a head start on whoever wins. Well, there's been much reporting on tensions between them, blah, blah, blah. Many of those issues related to Trade Department actions on sanctions. Mnuchin often felt that Bolton was too heavy-handed in advocating for sanctions, in particular over the administration's policy towards, what do you know, Venezuela. That's right, Steve Mnuchin wanted to go easier on Venezuela, and so did Donald Trump than Bolton did. Weird. It's perhaps also why Mnuchin gratuitously pointed out during Tuesday's briefing that Bolton and Trump had very different views of the Iraq War. But before that, all right. So, anyways, you get the point. Dipshittery.
But when I fire people, they go out and say, if I didn't fire people, they wouldn't say it. But you know what? Biden should have fired a lot of people because he had a very unsuccessful administration. And the first thing the person he should have fired is his vice president because she's absolutely terrible.
Why? What did she not do? Her biggest official duties were literally casting the deciding vote on legislation. What? And again, this dude's like going to give him the other side of the neck in a second. Like, he should have fired his vice president. Dude, you tried to get yours hung, you dumb motherfucker. Do not bring up other administrations and the unity of the ticket.
And I'll tell you, she's in any way fit to be the president of the United States.
Well, she can say the word unfit. She's capable of saying unfit as opposed to in no way fit. She can just say unfit. Why don't you just say while you're at it that she's no way stable or no way hinged?
In fact, she turned on him and they had a coup. They took it over from a president that got 14 million votes. I'm no fan of his, but he got 14 million votes. He won the primary. She was out of the primary. She was the first one to quit.
Hi, asshole. Wrong primary, also. You're talking about the last one versus the one where they were running against each other. This time they're on the same ticket. So if he gets those, she gets those because they're already in office. And you can tell this guy's like, I'm looking at someone who is talking out of his ass. This is just look at his face. Bless his heart. Look at his face. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
And she left 22 people. She was the first one out. She never made it to Iowa. And then she comes back and they do a coup. They take it over from him. So that's the way it is. When people don't do that.
That's the way it is. He's still president, though. So it was like a little coup. It was a chicken coup. It was a...
Their job, I fire them. And if they say bad things about me, that's okay. But overall, look, we're leading in the polls now. We have an election going on right now. I'm doing...
He's like, wait a minute. I should vote for you because you're leading in the polls? I think you just went down in the polls, buddy.
Really well with Hispanics, and
Fuck me, man. They're right in front of you. You absolute asshole. This is so fucking weird. You can't say we're leading with Hispanics. You're on, it's Univision. You dumb motherfucker. They're there. They're right there. This is so cringy. I'm like, it's making my skin crawl. Fucking hell. The Hispanics love me. Yeah, there's a whole room of them, and they're all vibing against you right now. And they were on the fence. These are undecided, allegedly, undecided voters who are like, nah, I made my decision. Fuck you.
we're doing well pretty much with every group. When people don't do a job, I'm sorry, I get rid of them. And if they want to say bad things, I've never fired somebody that said wonderful things. Sometimes they think about it. But when you let somebody go, even for cause, and I only do for cause, they don't generally say great things. But Biden, never think of it, into the worst administration in the history of our country.
Also, like, dude, it doesn't even fucking come close. Like, unless you hate low unemployment and a high stock market, rising wages, and the sharpest, best recovery of the G20 after a fucking pandemic we all went through, this whole, like, the worst ever bullshit is so lame. And the only the only reason he's saying it, let's be completely honest. Why does he keep saying the worst ever? Because that group of historians got together and they listed the presidents from best to worst, and he was dead last. That's why. And again, it might be one of the reasons that during COVID, there were three options, kids. Maggots especially. This one's for you, wherever you are. Number one, COVID was a hoax, and Trump fell for it. That's option number one. Option number two, COVID was a trick. It was a disease, but it was relatively harmless, but it was to trick you into getting a vaccine so they could put a chip inside you. In which case, Trump fell for it. He not only got the shot twice, but he also got the monoclonal antibodies. And nobody can explain to me why you can have a chip in a syringe, but you can't put it in a fucking bag that you sit with an IV drip on you for 6 hours. Right? Was it too non-specific about where it goes before it lodges itself in your fucking veins someplace? No sense whatsoever. The third one being, of course, that it was a bioweapon created by the Chinese to attack not just us, but the world. And in that case, Donald Trump was president during the worst bioweapon attack on the United States in our history, in world history. And his response was to sell the people that attacked us the largest order of beef, pork, corn, and soybeans in the history of our country, while Americans were in food lines. There is no fourth option. Which one is it? Which one of those three is the least worst for this dipshit?
He never fired one person.
Yeah, he doesn't have to.
And that's disgraceful. And you look at the border. The border has been a disaster.
Title 42. Got better after we got rid of Title 42.
All they had to do is leave my border. I had the safest, most secure border. And
no, COVID did. COVID gave us the safest, most secure border. Of course, it kept a lot of people home, sick or avoiding it because they didn't want to come in contact with people that might be sick during a pandemic and die for a job that they might get, they'd rather die in the line of duty than die on a fucking, ventilator that never comes, right? That would be, I think, part of the reason why they didn't do it. So even then, counting was down, even if people were coming across.
People came in legally. I had the safest border.
Look at the number of people shaking their fucking heads at him. Look at her. She's like,
in the history of our country. All he had to do is leave our people and leave our policies. I had a remain in Mexico policy, worked out with the Mexican government. The head of Mexico, all of them, they were my friends.
Yeah, the head.
Friends, they were good. They were great people.
Yeah, the head of Mexico was his friend, guys. The head of Mexico, the guy who's the head of it, in charge, the person in charge of Mexico, Mr. Mexico. Yeah, the head of Mexico.
It wasn't easy to work it out, but I worked.
No, of course not. They have an accent. They speak Spanish half the time. You're like, I don't trust them even if they do have an interpreter, because how do you know if you can trust the interpreter? Am I right, Steve Miller? Why are you holding up why are you hiding? Get out of the garbage can.
Worked it out. Remain in Mexico. It was an unbelievable success. Remain in Mexico. We check you out, and then we bring you into the country if you check out. Biden didn't do that. He got rid of everything. He had an open border policy.
We did not have an open border policy.
Where the whole world flowed in. Unfortunately, the world were prison populations. If I were running a country...
Dude, and this is where I think Trump has just given up. There's a part of this where you can start to see Trump just going, like, certainly the music thing the other night, where he put on music for a half an hour and just swayed, was a huge sign that he just does not want this fucking job. And you can tell that at a certain point he just gets sick of having to answer for shit, which is the president's job. It's the part that ages all the presidents that actually give a shit.
Any country, and I heard that the U.S. had an open border policy, the first thing I do is open up my jails, take all of my prisoners and let them out, murderers and everyone else. And that's essentially what...
And real quick, how does that work? You give bus tickets, or do they all get? Do you have like a Con Air kind of a thing? And how do you keep that from getting shot out of the sky? Do you think you have intelligence people that would let people know that that they were doing this particular strategy? That's what you do. Would you do it? And you're sure that after you let those people out of jail, they would go to America where they don't speak the language necessarily and stuff? Why wouldn't they just walk out the fucking front door and down the street and go back to killing and whatever they got thrown in for in the first place? I mean, what do you do? Walk them to the border like it's fucking First Blood and say, don't come back. And then what are you going to do? Make sure? When you have less of a border than we do?
What they did, and it's a shame. So we had the most successful country we've ever had, and I hope someday...
Look at this dude, like, no, you fucking didn't, dummy.
Maybe we'll get your vote. Sounds like maybe I won't, but that's okay too. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Ramiro. Thank you so much. Jesus Gonzalez, he is the son of immigrants, the first U.S.-born member of his family as well, el primer
Good, yeah. I'm trying to change the law so he doesn't get to stay either.
miembro de tu familia en nacer aquí en Estados Unidos.
That's what he's dead serious. Trump wants to change the law that makes this guy a citizen, or, you know, have birthright citizenship.
Hijo de inmigrantes. Adelante con tu pregunta, Jesús.
Good evening, President Trump.
Thank you.
With respect, could you explain your gun control policy to the parents of the victims of school shootings?
I could. We have a Second Amendment and right to bear arms, essentially. And
essentially. Now, the whole, like, well-regulated militia shit, we're just going to breeze right past that? Of course we are.
I'm very strongly an advocate of that. I think you need that. I think that if you ever tried to get rid of it, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to take away the guns because people need that for security. They need it for entertainment and for sports and other things, but they also...
Yeah, mainly for entertainment and sports and stuff, because nothing's more entertaining than having a 60-round magazine and a bump stock so that you could, you know, so you can just entertain yourself until the, I don't know what, the great day of the rope.
So in many cases need it for protection. If you have a house out in the country or you're in a little bit of a rough area or in a very rough area,
a medium rough area, like a what if I'm rough area adjacent? You know, I don't live in the rough area, but I can benefit from the zip code.
And the bad guy, let's call him, has a gun.
Okay, the bad guy. Yep, bad guy with a gun. Got it. Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a gun, you're finished. You have no chance. So
what if I'm sneaky? What if I got, you know, what if I Dexter the dude? I'm like, oh, I've got a syringe full of horse tranquilizer, and he's distracted by all the pictures of his victims that I put up in the garage, and you know what I mean? What if I'm what if I call the police who have a lot of guns?
You need them. You want to have a lot of good people have them. But if we didn't have that, you would see a crime rate that's crazy. I'll tell you, though, it's very
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. You would not.
interesting stat. The toughest gun laws in the United
Oh, this is okay. So this is Chicago has incredible gun laws, so therefore incredible gun laws cause gun crime. Never mind the fact that fucking Missouri and Indiana and and all the states surrounding Illinois have shit gun laws that have made it necessary for Chicago to increase its gun laws over time because that's where the dumped guns come from.
United States, by far, are Chicago. And that's got one of the worst
Yes, Chicago plural, our Chicago.
records of any city, and a lot of them are shot. 17 people died on Labor Day. 17 people died Labor Day weekend in Chicago. It's got laws that are so tough, they want to do everything. They can do anything they want. You have a gun. There's no place, maybe on earth, that has a tougher gun policy than Chicago.
Hold on. Does this asshole think that the people that are shot in most of those Chicago shootings are themselves unarmed? I'm serious. Does he think that that people with guns are just shooting unarmed people all the time in Chicago? Is that how it works? As opposed to gunfights between gang members, which is the large portion of shootings that occur on the southwest side of Chicago? Both groups have guns. As a matter of fact, most of the time they're having, beef wars where they're shooting back and forth at each other, either over turf or over, perceived slights or whatever, that kind of thing. The people that are getting shot at are armed. Doesn't do you any good if you're looking the wrong direction.
Chicago. No, there's no place that has, and they have the right to do anything they want to you. You know what happens?
No, they don't. Chicago, I don't know who the they is. I suppose he means the police or the government or something, that they have the right to do anything to you. No, they don't. You still have all your constitutional rights if you live in Chicago. I didn't want anybody there to freak out.
Probably the worst place right now, one of the most unsafe places anywhere in this country, maybe anywhere in the world.
Is Bakersfield, California, the place with the highest per capita murder rate in the country? Oh, that's right. You don't know what per capita means. I forgot. Apparently, this is an ongoing issue. Let's see.
And when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what?
Yeah.
So it's not just that. You have to remember this. It's the person pulling the trigger. It's not the gun. It's the person pulling.
No, this bullshit. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Yeah, but hey, asshole. You notice a stray knife has never flown through somebody's fucking window a block and a half away from a knife fight and stabbed somebody while they were having their fucking cornflakes? Did you ever notice that? Did you ever notice that even when there are, knife murders, the knife never, there aren't stray knife killings a block away? Wonder why that is. Also, very seldom does someone have 60 knives that if they drop one, you can pick another one up and drop one and pick it up in a matter of milliseconds.
The trigger. But if you ever passed something, she wants to take everybody's gun away. She's always wanted that. That's because it's what she wants. She wants to take everybody's gun. You know who the one?
No, they don't. We just don't need fucking bump stocks. We don't need machine guns. We don't need fucking 20-round magazines. If you live in the city and you can't hit what you're shooting at in under 10 rounds, you shouldn't be firing a fucking gun in the first place. You're more likely to kill yourself or a family member who's coming home late than you are to actually hit an intruder, you dumbass.
Ones that will never give their guns up, the bad guy. The bad guy's not giving up the gun.
Yeah, they do. We put them in jail and they stay there. And they can't get one. The whole thing about you cut down on straw man sales, and you cut down on guys selling them under the table or the gun show loophole, those kind of things.
And so That's what we have. We want safety, we want security, but you have to still adhere to the Second Amendment. Thank you. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
That's not an answer at all. By the way, let me translate all of that horse shit for you. Nothing. Nothing. He's never going to do anything. Not a thing. The bump stock thing was just for show, and his own SCOTUS got rid of it. He's not going to do shit. Ever. Ever. If people start challenging the law to say I should be able to own a nuclear weapon if I want because the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, and arms is not just a gun, it could be a bazooka or a fucking IED. He's not going to challenge that shit, and anybody he puts on the SCOTUS is going to do the exact same thing.
Muchas gracias. Thank you, President Trump. Our next question comes from Carlos Aguilera. He's a veteran of the construction sector here in South Florida. He says he's seen an environmental crisis grow before his eyes. Carlos Aguilera, veterano del sector de construcción. Tu pregunta, por favor, Carlos.
Yep. Good evening, Mr. President. For 30 years, I've been working in the construction industry and building water plants in Florida.
You might recognize me from not paying me.
I've seen with my own eyes the devastating impacts of climate change. Things that include sea level rise, saltwater intrusion in our drinking water supply, frequent flooding of our coastal communities.
I'm sorry, sir. You apparently are from Earth 1. And this is an Earth 2 gathering where we live in the upside down and everyone talks out of their butthole. Can you invert your question so that our guests can understand it?
Given the amount of the mounting evidence of climate change, do you still believe it's a hoax?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, I built, Okeechobee Dam, and I did so much for Florida in terms of when I was president, and even as a private person, I built a lot.
Did you built a lot of dams as a private person? I'm going to get annoyed, right? Mississippi River in the Everglades, let's see. Sea levels rose, water table in Florida also rose, rainfall increased from 6,000 to 4,000 years ago, wetlands, Okeechobee Waterway. Let's see, U.S. ACE celebrates completion of the Herbert Hoover. Okay, hold on. Jesus Christ. Did Trump name his shit after Herbert Hoover? Oh, dear. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers celebrates completion of the Herbert Hoover Dike Restoration Project. Stop it. Stop it. Simmer down. You know who I'm talking to. Completion of the Herbert Hoover Dike Restoration. Stop it. You stop it right now. Okay. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Jacksonville District celebrated the substantial completion of construction of the Herbert Hoover Restoration Project around Lake Okeechobee. It's the Herbert Hoover Dike. Stop it. You did too. Don't say you didn't say anything. You did. Quit it. Simmer. Simmer. The Herbert Hoover Dike is a 143-mile earthen dam that surrounds Lake Okeechobee at the heart of the Kissimmee Okeechobee Everglades system. Spans 730. Lake Okeechobee spans 730 square miles, and the Herbert Hoover Dike surrounds nearly the entire lake as a flood control measure. It's been undergoing a massive rehabilitation project since 2005. Now, I try not to remember who was president in 2005, and it certainly wasn't Donald Trump. So, yeah, they've been working on it. It just finished in 2023. So I don't know if that's the part he's talking about, but he's talking out of his ass. He didn't do it. He didn't create it. Whatever. He didn't fucking go out there with a shovel when he was a private citizen. what the fuck? He signed the funding for it, probably.
But I did the Okeechobee Dam, which solved a big problem from the climate standpoint.
Oh, did it? Hold on. Okeechobee Dam. Trump. Let's see. What is it? Donald Trump says Hispanics are attracted to me. Bumbles on climate hoax question. Full replay. Donald Trump says Hispanics are attracted to me. Bumbles on the Fields question. Latinos. Universe. Hard line on news. Trump signs law authorizing reservoir to cut Lake Okeechobee discharges. No. Okay. Yeah, the Water Resource Development Act. He signed that. That's what he's talking about. This is what he's talking about. President Trump signs law authorizing reservoir to cut Lake Okeechobee discharges. Ew. Building a reservoir to cut Lake Okeechobee discharges is now federal law. President Donald Trump signed it into law. The law authorizes but does not allocate money for the feds to pay for their half of the $1.6 billion Everglades Agricultural Area Reservoir. Appropriation process could take a couple of years to get the money rolling. Copyright 2020. This was when he signed it. And when was it? 2018. Nothing. Okay. Didn't do shit. Just signed the bill. They didn't even allocate funds for another 2 years.
I do think is this: we can't destroy our country over being forced to do things. They want to do I call it the Green New Deal. They call it the Green New Deal. Some people call it the Green New Hope.
Oh, you call it the Green New Deal? You do call it that? You call it that? Did you come up with that? Is that one of your pithy little fucking names? You call it I'm sorry, you call it what?
Things they want to do I call it the Green New Deal. They call it.
You do? You call it the Green New Deal? It's catchy. Has somebody get AOC on the line? Hold on one second. Yeah. Yes, me. Can you get yeah, get her. Yeah. She's sitting right there. Has she thought of maybe calling it, and I know this sounds crazy, but it just might work, the Green New Deal. Yeah, it's like the New Deal, but it's yeah, I know. That's genius. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I know you would have thought of it on your own probably, but yeah, spread it around. See if it gains in popularity. Probably not. You're right.
Call it the Green New Deal. Some people call it the Green New Hoax. They want to.
He calls it the Green New Scam. He doesn't call it the Green New Hoax. That's just shit. That's just terrible.
Spend $93 trillion on the climate.
No, we're not going to spend $93 trillion on the climate. That's not how it works at all. What that estimation is like lost revenue by, using petroleum industry numbers to argue for we shouldn't switch over because it'll cost us too much in the long term. We're not going to spend $93 trillion fucking solar paneling the world, you weirdo.
Now, I happen to think that there are very important elements of climate, water and air.
Yeah, I would say they're right up there. Yeah? You think those are really important elements of climate? Water and air? Well, I guess we wouldn't have clouds without them. It's an excellent point. I wonder if anybody else has ever put that together.
In my administration, I had the cleanest air on record.
Oh, that's true. That is true. That is true. Donald Trump had the cleanest air since they were measuring it in American history. Anybody know why? Does anybody know why? Why we had the cleanest air? Because COVID shut down the fucking world, dummy. We had the cleanest air because there was no fucking planes in the sky. No cars on the road. There were multiple stories. Holy shit. Fuck me. Hold on. Cleanest air. Whoops. Air. COVID. Whoops. Sorry. COVID. No airplanes. Something like that. Let's see. No. Is there Let's see. Let's see. Indoor air. Oh, this is all just indoor air shit. Anyways, you guys remember? Yeah. So hold on. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Air pollution during COVID lockdown, I think was. Yeah, here it is. Fuck me. I had the cleanest air in the world. I also had the best border ever. Thanks, COVID. So basically, when Trump says you should have just left it and went to the beach, what he meant was COVID. You shouldn't have it was, you know what it was? It was the fucking vaccines. You had to get everybody vaccinated and back to fucking work. COVID lockdown causes record drop in carbon emissions for 2020. Carbon dioxide emissions from oil, gas, and coal this year are predicted to reach approximately 34 billion tons, a 7% drop from fossil emissions levels in 2019. Emissions from transport account for the largest share of the global decrease. Emissions from transport account for the largest share of the global decrease. I had the cleanest energy ever. What an asshole.
And yet I didn't destroy jobs. I had the most jobs.
No, you didn't. We were losing jobs constantly. It was during COVID, fuckwad.
Of any administration ever.
Don't nod. Don't nod, sir. Please don't nod. He did not. He didn't have the best jobs. That's nonsense to start with. It certainly didn't get better because COVID solved our problems. You fucking weirdo.
I also had the cleanest water, crystal clean. We had the cleanest water, the cleanest air. To me, those are...
Also, what are you talking about? That, again, just made up. We did not have the cleanest fucking water during the Trump administration. By any fucking measure. I don't know what the fuck he's even talking about. And yeah, you know what? Like the shit, I think... Yeah, the Keystone XL pipeline never got a chance to leak. Maybe that's why. Because Biden shut it down before it could poison our aquifers.
The primary factors. Clean water, clean air. We went into rural parts of the country and fixed people's water. They were drinking such terrible water. It was very important to me. All of that's important.
Okay, the EPA does that all the fucking time. You didn't go into fucking anywhere. He signed the regular order bills. This is just shit that's in the budget, dummy. Shit, by the way, that was put in the budget by Democrats.
At the same time, you can't give up your country. You can't say that we're not going to have any jobs anymore.
Yeah, probably that I don't think that would sell. Yeah, I don't know that that would go anywhere, right? So people are hold on. I want to know if I don't know. If I stupid. Does the car not stinky if it never turn on? And the water not poison if it can't go swimming? And remember, like in the pool taste funny because everybody got everybody put on sunscreen, make the water make your eyes sting. But if it don't put it on because nobody swimming, water is all clean. That's the fault. I don't know. Nobody can tell. It's hard to know. Anyway, what you saying?
They said if they took their ultimate, which is $93 trillion, the Green New Deal.
That's not the ultimate. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. $93 trillion, not how much it costs. $93 trillion is how much people say we're not going to make if we do that because it's not work as well. But that's like saying people that used to ride horses everywhere looking at the car going, switch over car makers cost us a lot of money. We got all the stables already. We got all the horses already. We got all the oats. And so if we try to change over car, we're going to lose lots of horse money. And if we lose host money, we're not going to be able to do the thing. It's going 93 trillion host dollars. That's what it's going to be. Host dollars.
93 trillion. That's more money than we would have in 20 years. We wouldn't be able.
That's actually the GDP actually 26,000 $26 trillion a year. That's 5 years. Less than 5 years. That's less than 5 years.
Able to survive. We wouldn't be able to live. So
Right. If it cost $93 trillion in 5 years, that'd be a lot. But since it's $93 trillion over forever, it's forever. And then you never ever will spend money on energy ever again. Ever. Never cost a penny. Our energy free from that point on. $93 trillion for 50 years.
I always feel that with the climate, and I have been I have been an environmentalist. I built many things. I own Doral right next door, and we did that.
That's the golf course.
That in a very environment. I get awards, environmental awards.
Yeah, he gave himself an award. Doral got lots of awards.
For the way I build it, for the water, the way I use the water, the sand, the mixing of the sand and the water.
Yeah, the mixing, you get the sand and the water, and you get gritty feet and then you gotta wipe your feet before you go in the house.
I mean, many different, but I've had many awards.
Yes, the way you mix the sand and the water. I don't know what to talk about. They're very stupid. That's so stupid. I don't know what to talk about. Mixing the sand and the water? What?
Awards over the years for
That lady not know. She looking like my babysitter. That's not good. Not that she does. It's good she look like my babysitter. It's not good what he's saying. What the world?
Awards for the way I build it, for the water, the way I use the water, the sand, the mixing of the sand and the water. I mean,
did the mixing of the sand and the water make a beach? Except when it doesn't. I don't know what he's talking about.
Many different, but I've had many awards over the years for environmental, the way I've built, because you know about building. That's what you do.
Yeah. Many awards.
It's very important to me. At the same
Very important, but I'm not going to do anything.
time, we can't destroy our country. And
Why would it destroy our country? Why would innovation and improvement? Why would it destroy our country?
we're competing against countries that don't spend anything on climate change, like China and others. And
Right. But I mean, eventually they're gonna have to, or they're gonna die.
they're able to make their product for tremendously less than us. And we're not.
Right. That's right. If we can't be as, if we can't pollute as much as they do when we make shit as they do when they make shit, we can't compete. Fuck,
We're not going to
man.
let that happen either. We have to have a strong country, and we have to have a nice climate. And there's nobody better at that, I think, at that combination than me. I will say this, though.
Nobody better at that combination than me. Motherfucker, you can't even combine your makeup and your fucking head. What is that? Look at this. The hell? Dude. He looks like he has the same head as Dan Aykroyd in Nothing But Trouble.
I hear a lot about
Is that nose rubber?
climate, and they talk about global warming, et cetera, because they now used to call it global warming. Now they call it climate change because that covers everything. But global warming. The real global warming that we have to worry about is nuclear.
Oh, this bullshit. So yeah, we're gonna die in a nuclear war. Why are you even bringing up the future? We're all gonna die right now. I have to panic you about this. I don't have any long-term solutions, lady.
The water.
Sorry, so, Trump canceled what? Canceled all of his interviews and the Savannah rally because he's demented. Oh, AJC politics in Georgia. Oh, What's AJC? I'm not sure what it is. But yeah, he's definitely canceling a bunch of shit. But I think everybody thinks he needs a big fucking nap before the final run in the next week.
Water's coming up 1/8 of an inch over 300 years. The ocean is going to rise, and nobody knows if that's true or not. But they're worried about the ocean rising 1/8 of an inch or 1/4.
Hey, asshole, he just told you he's been dealing with it for 30 years, including salt water moving in on the fresh water stores. Like, it's affecting the water supply. He deals with it all the time. It's his fucking job.
Of an inch in 300 years. What I'm worried about is nuclear weapons tomorrow, because
yeah, we'll be fine. It's a Friday. There's no nuclear wars on Friday. It's going to happen on a Thursday, according to Douglas Adams, and not for a long time.
The power of nuclear weapons, and we're going to end up with this administration. If she gets in, we will end up in a third world war. She's grossly incompetent, and if she gets in, Kamala, if she gets in, we're going to end up in a third world war. And with me, you'll never end up in even a war. So we have to be very careful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have to be very careful. Remember that thing you asked me about that you care very deeply about and you deal with in the real world all the time? We might all die tomorrow, so fuck it. I mean, you got to die of something. Smoke them if you got them. Fuck it.
Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you
it's time
very
to
much.
take our last commercial break.
Also, everybody there is like, this fucking dude. We're almost done. By the way, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. This is Trump's full Univision thing. I did the beginning of it in the earlier stream, and we'll finish it up now. And then I've got a couple other videos for you. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc., etc., etc.
Ya estamos de regreso en este
We
encuentro
are back
histórico
in this
con el
historic
expresidente
encounter with
Donald Trump y
ex-President
votantes latinos.
Donald Trump
We are
and
back.
the
Gotta love that ex-president business.
Latino
Question
voters.
comes from Yaritzia Kuhn. She's a homemaker and has a question about women's reproductive rights.
A homemaker.
Yaritzia Kuhn se dedica al hogar y tiene una pregunta sobre salud reproductiva. Adelante, Yaritzia.
Buenas noches, señor presidente. Su esposa Melania dijo recientemente
Uh-oh. Did I hear a Melania name drop?
que apoyaba los derechos reproductivos de las mujeres y que pudieran practicarse un aborto.
Good evening, Mr. Trump, President. Recently, your wife, Melania, said that
This is going to be good. Just going to enjoy this, if I could.
she supported women's rights of reproduction along with being able to get an abortion.
Mi pregunta es si usted está de acuerdo con ella.
My question is, do you agree with her?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I told Melania that she has to go with her heart, and she has to do what she has to do. She has to support what she wants to support, and she wrote a great...
It won't make a difference because her rights in Florida are up to Ron DeSantis in the Senate there, so she can think whatever the fuck she wants, but that's where we live, so fuck you.
book. It's a #1 bestseller. I hope you all go out and buy it.
Was that in the prenup?
It's really a great book.
Is it? It's got pages and words and a cover and stuff.
But I want her to do what...
What's your favorite passage? Before you move on to that next thing, what's your favorite part? What do you think? Is it the dedication page probably? With that? The end? How it ends? You haven't gotten there yet, have you? What the cover smells like?
What she wants to do. I wouldn't want to oppose what I think. What has happened...
You wouldn't want to oppose what you think? You mean impose? You fucking chimp. Impose, not oppose.
...is over the last 52 years, people have wanted to get Roe v. Wade out of the federal government.
It's not my fault. Everybody told me to get rid of it, and then I did, and now everybody's mad at me, and this is bullshit, and I'm gonna lose this fucking election because you assholes told me, and everybody said everybody wanted it, and then it turns out they didn't want it. They did not want it. They didn't want it. And you told me they did. You said everybody wanted it back to the States. And what did I do? I sent it back to the States. And you fuckers, I'm gonna lose this fucking election because of some Rovember bullshit. And you guys told me to. That's my direct translation, if I may.
And they've been trying. Every lawyer, every legal scholar, Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, everybody wanted it out.
No. No, they didn't.
It shouldn't be in the federal government. They wanted it out for many different...
No, men and women should have the same rights of bodily autonomy no matter where they live in the fucking country. That's a constitutional protection. It's not up to the fucking states to impose some sort of religious test on women, but not on men. Fuck you, eat shit, no. And by the way, again, Roe was not lost in 2022, people. It was lost in 2016. And if you're thinking, Hal, careful, you don't want to go vote shaming, do you? You fucking ain't right, I do. If you didn't vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016, you should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. And you own a huge chunk of this fucking ruling.
Different reasons, all of them very good reasons. And I was able to do that. And with the courage of 6 great Supreme Court justices who are brilliant and courageous.
And have been lying in their confirmation hearings for decades.
Because this issue has torn our country apart.
No, that's what it's doing now, fuckhead.
For 52 years, it's...
No, it hasn't.
...torn our country apart.
No, it hasn't. I would like you... Everybody remember the I don't know, the fucking 90s? How about the 80s? How about the fucking 70s? Jesus Christ, even during the civil rights era, was it abortion that was tearing the country apart? Do you think the fight over civil rights and, you know, dogs being sicked on people and shit, when that stuff was going down, you think that was over fucking abortion? It wasn't. It's been tearing, I'll tell you what it's been doing. It's been tearing the Republican Party apart. They've been having to deal with these fucking lunatics on their side of the aisle, and he just got tired of listening to their bullshit, so he cut it loose. This has nothing to do with Democrats and the rest of the fucking country. This is a fringe group on the Republican side that got too noisy and too powerful too quickly.
And if something wasn't done, it would have continued and maybe gotten worse.
Worse for who? Dr. Tiller? Worse for who? The women who are bleeding to death in parking lots? The 134 rape victims in this country that are in daily in this country who are getting pregnant by their rapists, who will not have, they'll have to leave the state or find some other way to have an abortion so that they don't have to carry it to term?
And I was able to do that. And I, like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions for life of the mother, rape, and incest.
Okay, so you believe in late-term abortions. You believe in abortions in the 9th month. Because the majority of the ones to save the mother in an emergency situation happen in the last trimester. In the 7th, 8th, and yes, the 9th month. And it's heartbreaking for the mother, and it's something that happens between her and her doctor, and they've already picked out fucking toys and had a gender reveal party and fucking picked out, like painted a room and bought a carriage, and it's torment, and you're like, you know what? Maybe the Lord's just still mad at you over that Apple shit. So it's probably your time to go, lady. You're just not good at your primary job, which is to be a broodmare for the state.
So I believe in exceptions. Most people do. Most Republicans do. There are some that probably don't. Of course, that number has gotten a lot larger with the years.
Sorry, the number that don't? Listen to that again.
Most people do. Most Republicans do. There are some that probably don't. Of course, that number has gotten a lot larger with the years.
Yes, the number of Republicans who don't believe in exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother has gotten larger over the years. I feel so much better.
And what they wanted, what people wanted, is for it to go back to the states and a vote of the people. It's going back to the states. And
Why? Why did they want that? Tell me why Democrats wanted it. Now, like, I know why Republicans want it, because they think, you know, if a woman can't produce children, God doesn't want her on the planet. She's taking up space and she's a useless eater, I guess. But tell me why you think Democrats want to punt it back to the state. What was their reasoning in your, you know, listening sessions about this shit? God damn, this is dumb.
And a vote of the people. It's out of the federal government now, which is so good. And now, if you look, the states are voting on it. And some states, like Ohio, a state that I won by a lot, took a very liberal stance. They have a very liberal stance. Same thing with Kansas and other states.
Yeah, and it's going to result in more Democrats getting elected so that we can codify this into a law so that we don't ever have to deal with this shit ever again.
And some states took a tougher stance. But what it is
yes, the ones where women have to flee the state.
It's now the vote of the people within the states.
So on a state level, they get to vote on the number of rights a woman has. Are any men's rights up for a vote? Besides, of course, J.D. Vance, I'm sure we're just a couple of days away from J.D. Vance saying that, you know, rapists deserve parental rights. Visitation for serial rapists. That'll be the thing. Right? Hey, a father's very important. This is an Kamala Harris is anti-family, right? If she doesn't want this guy to be able to see his kid that this 12-year-old has to carry to fucking term, right?
This is what everybody has wanted for,
again, gibberish.
52 years. They wanted to.
Again, I don't know where he gets this.
Get rid of Roe v. Wade and let it come back to the states. And I've done that, and now the people are voting on it. And you're going to see it's going to heal. It will never heal. It would have never healed if it stayed in Congress, if it stayed in the federal government. It's now in the states. The people are voting as we speak. The people.
So, all right, every state's going to vote on this. Some states are going to be draconian religious-based law, and some are going to vote from a humanitarian standpoint, allowing for it. And the states that don't are either going to look the other way as, you know, women in that state go to visit their aunt in fucking Illinois, right, to take care of it when something like that happens, right? Or they're going to set up laws that are so draconian where the women can't leave. They're going to track their fucking periods. If you're registered, you know, if you buy a pregnancy test, it's going to register. You have to sign up to get one. You won't be able to have contraceptives if you're in a fucking marriage because you should be producing children. Shit like that, right? Then they're going to reach a point. I don't know when it'll be, but at some point they'll be like, enough dead women. That's how we got here in the first place. That's how Roe happened, was that in general, the American public were like, all right, enough dead people. Fuck this. Enough dead women. And some states, like Trump is talking about, will take way longer. Alabama, Texas, they're like, we can lose, you know, way more women than, you know, fucking Georgia does.
Voting. Some states have completed, like Kansas, Ohio, and a lot of others. But it's going to settle a problem that was only going to get more.
Also, what makes him think that right-to-lifers are going to stop if a bunch of states do it? You don't. This is exactly how you get them forcing through, you know, using a myriad of issues, an abortion ban, a nationwide abortion ban, right? Because they can't get it state to state. They're going to lose in the majority of states. And then even the states they win in, over time, they're going to lose. So what's their only recourse in the future? A nationwide ban.
More divisive and worse. It was a big...
And he would sign it, by the way.
Big dispute for a long period of time. And I think the question is great, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gracias, Yaritza. Thank you, President Trump. Our next
again, didn't answer it.
question comes also from Arizona. Carlos Garcia was part of our town hall last week with Vice President Harris. Carlos Garcia participó, hizo una pregunta en el encuentro con la vicepresidenta Harris. Adelante, Carlos.
Buenas noches, señor presidente. Es un honor estar aquí en esta noche. Gracias por contestar nuestras preguntas.
Good evening, Mr. President. Thank you for being here tonight with us, and thank you for answering my questions.
Aparte de ser analista de datos, también soy pastor de jóvenes en mi iglesia local.
Besides being a data analyst, I am a pastor for the youth in my local church.
So get ready. In a couple of months, this guy is going to have his hard drive seized by the FBI.
Así que creo en el poder de la reflexión y del
I'm kidding.
crecimiento a través del aprendizaje.
So I believe in the power of growth through reflection and learning.
Todos tenemos
Oh no.
triunfos y también tenemos errores. Entonces mi pregunta es,
We can always have triumphs, but we can always also have mistakes. And my question to you is,
de sus 4 años en la Casa Blanca, ¿cuál fue algún error
4 years in the White House.
o aprendizaje
out of the 4 years you were in the White House, can you name one error or something you learned
de esos 4 años para que nosotros podamos aprender de usted y darle nuestro voto otra vez?
during those 4 years so we may learn from you and once more give you our vote?
Thank you very much. We had a very successful administration. Everybody acknowledges it because we had
No, we don't. I do not. This shall not stand. No. Fuck you. I do not acknowledge it. Garbage, nonsense, horse shit. You shit the bed, dummy.
the great economy, which is so important. We didn't have inflation. We won the war. We rebuilt the military.
We won the war? Sorry, what war did we win? What war was that?
Won the ISIS.
Oh, you won the ISIS. I see. Congratulations. You won the ISIS lookalike contest? I loved that cartoon when I was a kid.
And we didn't, the nice part is, we didn't get into any wars. As a pastor, as somebody of faith, you have to like that.
Well, it depends. There's a lot of wars in the Old Testament. Some of them were justified.
Hasn't happened in 82 years that happened with a president. I didn't get into war.
You bombed Syria. You left the Kurds to die. You turned off of the rules of engagement that Obama put in to limit civilian deaths. You stopped the cops program that would have allowed police stations to broom the Derek Chauvins of the world. And you got rid of the pandemic response team at the exact same fucking time. And 2 years later, almost to the day, we get Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd's neck and the pandemic at the same fucking time. Maybe, just maybe, you should plan past the day after tomorrow.
We had great trade policies. We changed some of the horrible policies. We did a lot of good.
Hey, asshole. He asked you what you might have learned or done wrong. What mistakes? Stop being so fucking defensive and be an adult.
Things. So when you say about something I regretted, the thing I would say that's most important
is other people. I hired too many terrible people.
And it's going to be most important for coming up is people.
Oh, motherfucker. What I say. Like, he's just going to blame somebody else. I let other people tell me who was good. And now I know who's good, so now I'll know. Fucking hell. Wasn't me. I never even saw these assholes before.
It's all about the people.
It is. People who need people.
I had great people, things happened good. Where I had people that I...
Can we just, real quick, can we hear that sentence again?
It's all about the people. Where I had great people, things happened good. Where I had
great people, things happened good. Where I had great people, things happened good. I told you, he's turning into Phil Hartman's Frankenstein. Things happen good. Flies out of like mosquitoes. No, fire good. Wah!
People that I didn't like as much, it doesn't work out as well. And I, unlike Biden or Harris, I get rid of them. I get new people in. Because I'm working for you. I want to make sure the country is running well. And if somebody's not doing their job, I make change. Sorry,
is he getting fatter while we're watching this? Because he's like now he's in Jiminy Glick mode. Is it because you think his like, I can't tell because of the shoulder pads. You think it's like he's getting more and more tense as this goes on, and he's just kind of shrinking up underneath it, right? Because he's like, these are hard questions, and I don't understand the language.
So I would say this, the mistakes I made weren't big policy. We had the strong border. We had the great economy. We had all these things.
That dude's neck is still cocked sideways, like, yeah.
But I put some people in that I wouldn't have used again. Now, when I went to Washington, as you know, I was only there 17 times in my entire life. 17 times. I never stayed over.
Which, by the way, not a flex, fuckwad. Not good. DC is a great town. There's a lot of culture there. There's a lot of stuff to do. You don't get points for not staying. It sounds like you rolled in to bribe somebody and fucked off. The fact that you never stayed overnight is hinky as shit. Oh, you know where he did stay overnight? Jeffrey Epstein's house. Yeah, there he stayed overnight. DC, not so much. Jeffrey Epstein's house, definitely stayed overnight.
The press informed me of that, so I don't know if it's true, but it sounds like it might be right. Very little. I wasn't in Washington, so I didn't know the people very well, and I relied.
That was the point. That was the fucking point. He ran on the fact that he didn't know DC, he knew the best people, and he would just bring in the best people from outside of DC because there's too many people, stupid people, and we're run by stupid people, and I don't know any of these people, and blah, blah, blah. And you're supposed to bring fucking people in from New York or wherever. You'd have them on fucking speed dial that if you had a problem, you could ask them a question. You're like, we'll get this shit straightened out in an afternoon, right? That was what he ran on. You don't get to do 4 fucking years. We're not talking about the first 6 weeks or 90 days of his administration. Dude, this is fucking 8 years later.
Relied on other people to give me. And generally speaking, I got it right. Bob Lighthizer in trade. We had great trade people. We had a lot of great people. But I had some people that I would not have used again. Now,
oh, you mean like Mike Pence?
I have tremendous experience. I think I have more experience than anybody in history.
Okay. Don't punch yourself in the face. I'm fine. I'm fine.
In terms of the people, in terms of that kind of experience, the experience you need.
Yeah, the experience you need. Picking people to do the actual job while you fuck off and golf.
And I know all of the people. I know the players. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the smart ones, the dumb ones, the ones that don't have courage.
Yeah, asshole. No. Picking people, picking your team, that should be baseline. You're still responsible for everything they did.
You think you never really know about courage until you tested, but I know the people very well. I know who.
Yes, I think that's written on his diaper.
I want, who I don't want. So I would say that in terms of knowledge and learning, it was people. If you have a good group of people or a great, like, secretary, somebody in charge of a big agency.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. A secretary and somebody in charge of a big agency. Yeah, yeah, sure.
It's all about the people. So I would.
It is.
Say that would be the biggest mistake. Mostly good, but some bad.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Carlos. President Trump, we have time for...
I'm tired of this bullshit. I'm telling you this right now, and I don't want to tell you in a way that will make you upset because I can understand you are sweating on the upper lip, and there's a lot that is disgusting about you already, my friend. Your suit smells like alligator shit, and I mean that, that's the only compliment I could come up with, because quite frankly, if I had some kitty litter, I would pour it all over you and hope it clumps because you are disgusting to all of us. In general, let's see if I can do something like this, my friend. We have only a couple of more questions, and I understand you only have one answer left in you. So this is very important. I got to tell you. that people are, this lady right now, she is what we call colloquially around here, bored to shit. She's bored like you would not believe. This lady not having it. I'm just saying, you can, if you put your ear to the ground like an old Chippewa Indian, you know, back in the day, you can hear vaginas drying up all around the city. Just being, they don't even have to be downwind of you. You can be upwind, it's still bad. And a heavy wind, I have to say. So don't come back. Don't ever come back. We're not interested in you.
For a couple more questions.
Well, it's okay. You know, they said, would you like to sit down?
Yes.
I said, that is the most uncomfortable looking chair I've ever seen.
Fuck you.
I'm looking at that chair. I said, I don't think anybody could sit in that chair.
I would never have a problem sitting in that chair. But then, of course, none of us are wearing diapers. Well, some of us are, but only for leisure, you know, for leisure, for having the fun, you know.
I didn't get one.
Let's go do a couple of more. Fine.
Wonderful. Eloy Contreras, he's a security guard at a hospital. Eloy Contreras es un guardia de seguridad en un hospital. Tu pregunta para el expresidente Trump.
Good evening, President Trump. Thank you for being here and taking these questions. When you left office, Mr. President, we were a divided nation. Instead of the United States of America, we were the divided states of America. Win or lose, if the American people to send you back to the White House or not, what specific steps will you take to unite a deeply divided nation?
So when I left office, we had a election that was in dispute by most people, I think.
No. Most people you know, because you broomed anybody who told you it wasn't.
But certainly a vast majority of people.
No, not a vast majority of people. You know who isn't included in that, no matter how much she says so? Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know how I know? Because she was elected in that election, and she didn't go, obviously this was bullshit, I'm turning in my congressional keys.
That was the primary division, and that was a shame. That was a shame, because that should never happen with a country. And it's really too bad that it did.
It's too bad that it happened with a country.
It happened, but we are much more of a divided nation now than we ever were then.
Yeah, because you've been stoking your side and making them fucking lose their shit. Also, no, we aren't. Because I got news for you. In the political world, on Twitter, places like that, there's a bunch of shit going down all the time. It's very spicy. But have you seen football stadiums lately, asshole? Have you seen concert venues? Have you seen fucking malls or fucking Vegas? People are living their goddamn lives. There is not a huge division. There's roaming assholes that are looking to start shit, but they would do it if it was just a sports team kicking the ass of other, you know, of their rivals after a game.
And I will tell you this, that when we had the economy blazing, the best economy we've ever had.
Not even close. And like, this is just the shittiest attempt at hypnotism.
Liberals, radical left people, as I would call them, Democrats.
Oh, they were calling him. The radical left people were calling him. Okay. First of all, asshole, you're president of the United States and you have to sign legislation. So everybody has to call you and be nice to you and want to work with you because they need to get shit done for their constituents. And since you are like a psychopath or sociopath more specifically, and you require constant ego stroking and flattery to get anything through, and everybody knows this, they can pick your lock in a fucking second. Everybody was calling you about that stuff. It's not because they liked you or they fucking needed you or they thought you had good ideas.
Democrats were calling me. Our country was coming together. Then we got hit with a gift from China called... Also,
why would that divide us? Sorry, I know I'm interrupting a bunch, but it's my fucking job. Why would COVID... if we're grooving, man, we're getting along so well, why would COVID be the thing that divides us? Why? What would be... seriously. Wouldn't we all come together like we did after 9/11? I mean, there was a lot of bonding over 9/11, right? Could it possibly be that maggots that follow him were having people take like a horse dewormer and fucking fish tank cleaner to try and fight off the infection instead of treating it as something real, that everybody was selling it as a hoax, that he wanted to slow walk it because he was trying to get his China trade deal done before he slammed the gate, and then he still wanted to fucking play footsie with these assholes? Could it possibly be that maggots all over the place were saying we're going to have vaccine passports and they're trying to destroy religion and all this stuff, and they were blaming, for some reason, even though he signed all these fucking bills, right? Democrats were to blame for this vaccine passport horseshit that never played out?
COVID, and we had to fight that. But for 2.5 years, almost 3 years, we were the most united. People wanted to get together.
No, they didn't. He was being increasingly piggish and shitty. People just knew they had to. And by the way, he's remembering from mid-COVID. When people were calling him, it's because they needed fucking masks and ventilators and fucking PPE and all that shit.
They wanted to be people that I never thought would want to be meeting and were asking to have lunch, have dinner.
You were the president. You signed bills. They also knew you were susceptible to flattery, like every world dictator.
Our country was coming together.
No, it was not.
And the thing that will bring our country together is success. It was coming together because it was so successful. Everybody, Hispanic Americans, Black Americans, everybody had jobs. Women, men, people with high school diplomas.
Again, he says this, people with high school diplomas, stupid people, smart people, people from Wharton School, and people who didn't go to any school at all, blah, blah, and it's nonsense. One of the biggest factors of the unemployment rate during his presidency, besides it being relatively pedestrian to the previous administration and, you know, kind of followed on track, was that the difference between Black and Hispanic unemployment and the average never closed. It always stayed either in parallel or moved further apart, meaning there was more Black and Hispanic unemployment than there was the mean, which is the largely white populace. The whole goal is that you'd want to bring it all together so people, if they're unemployed because of material reasons that don't have anything to do with their skin color.
Diplomas, people without high school diplomas, people from the best colleges in the world, from MIT and Harvard, the Wharton School of Finance, from Stanford, and people with no education. Everybody was doing better than they. Again,
who the fuck is, like, this is such an emperor's new clothes moment where everybody around him is just fucking, they've got like a bellows and they're all taking turn blowing smoke up his ass.
Ever done. Everybody, every group. And you know who was doing the best? Proportionately were low-income people. And that's a statistical fact. Everybody was doing better. There was no division.
Yeah, there was. What the fuck?
Success will bring our country together. And I never knew that I'd say that. I thought...
Really? You never thought you'd say that? That wouldn't seem like a normal dodge we've heard from other Republicans, too?
That even if you were successful, because the views are so different on so many things. For instance, the Democrats...
Yeah. Communist, fascist, Marxists, lunatics who want to destroy our country and our dollar. You make the country successful, and they're just going to come over to your side. Of course, only if those names you were calling them have no meaning whatsoever, and you were just pulling them out of your ass, and you don't even know what they fucking mean.
Democrats want men to play women's sports. I don't like that. I don't know if they're going to change, but I don't think I could ever change. I see the differences. I don't understand how they could want it. They want transgender operations, change a...
Oh, so, by the way, the reason he's kind of bring this home on this is that there's this generalized belief that, Latin Americans, Hispanics, come from a largely Catholic background, and that they're a red voter in a blue vase, and that if you just could crack that blue vase, you can get at that squishy red center, and they will vote for you. And the way you do that is through bigotry. Anti-gay stuff is big with them, and then abortion's the other one. So that's where he's going after trans, because again, the ship has sailed on gay marriage and those kind of things with this group. He's hoping this is the increase the higher dose of the drug.
Man into a woman, and in some cases, a boy into a woman without parental consent. I don't.
Yeah, also, no. I think technically a boy would have to turn into a girl. It'd still be the same age, right? We're not trans age yet, are we?
I'm not going to go for that. So
no can do.
I don't know. I never thought you could come together, but I will say this. Success will bring this country together. Thank
You mean like successful transitional surgeries or?
you. Good question.
Thank you. Our last question. Last week, Teresa Yedro had the opportunity to ask the last question on our town hall. Teresa tuvo la oportunidad de hacer la última pregunta la semana pasada.
Asked the last
Nuevamente,
question last
adelante.
week, and she'll have the opportunity again.
President Trump,
Go ahead.
buenas noches.
Thank you.
Se me hace justo hacerle exactamente la misma pregunta que le hice a la candidata demócrata.
She's chief of staff at UCLA. She lives in LA. She's born in Monterrey, Mexico. She's 48 years old. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say Trump's not going to like this question. Chief of staff at UCLA Med Center?
Good evening, Mr. President. I only think it's fair to ask the same question I posed the Democrat candidate.
¿Cuáles son las tres virtudes que usted reconoce en la vicepresidenta Kamala Harris?
What are the three virtues that you see in Vice President Kamala Harris?
Or tell us three things you like about her.
That's a very hard question. That's the toughest question. The other ones are easy. Look, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I think she's harmed our country horribly, horribly.
Yeah, he's a silly person. He makes an attempt, though,
At the border, with inflation, with so many other
Yeah, we covered all that shit, asshole. Answer her question.
things. But she seems to have an ability to survive. She seemed, because, you know, she was out of the race and all of a sudden she's running for president. That's a great.
She's out of the race and all of a sudden she's running for president. First of all, asshole, does he think... Does he think that the primary for the 2024 race that Biden just had with like RFK Jr. in it and Marianne Williamson around the edges, that does he think that Kamala ran in that as his vice president to be president? I'm serious. Does he because the more he talks about it, the more I think he thinks what happened in 2019 happened this year. Right? Or late last year, December or something like that.
Great ability that some people have and some people don't have. She seems to have some pretty long time friendships, and that's, you know, also that's I don't call that an ability. I call that a good thing.
Yeah, it's, you know, ability is a big word for it, so I call it a good thing. What kind of thing would that be? I mean, obviously, maintaining those relationships and having them would be an ability. She has the ability to maintain long-term friendships. Also, by the way, this is the moment where you also know that Donald Trump has no long-term friends. Again, most of the time, he has no friends at all, but certainly none that have lasted at all. And he knows he's staring down the barrel of a lonely, decrepit end. He knows this. He knows he's just surrounded by sycophants, and he doesn't even trust Don and Eric to actually love him. He's a fucking mess. It's terrible. But he doesn't have any friends. And so most of the time we say with Trump, everything's projection. In this particular case, I would say it's reflection. I think he can see that she somehow has human bonds, both with her husband and her stepdaughter and her friends and her running mate and other people that he just doesn't have.
And she seems to have a nice way about her. I mean, I like the way.
She's got a way about her. I don't know what it is. I think it's the way she destroys the country. She's got a way about her. Her open border calls to me, And I don't know where the fentanyl comes from.
Some of her statements, some of her, the way she behaves in a certain way, but in another way.
The way she behaves in a certain way. What?
I think it's very bad for our country.
She behaves in a certain way that I think is great, but very bad for our country. And that's my job. My job is to make being bad for our country great again. That's my goal.
Bad for our country. But she does seem to have some relationships that be lasting. And she does seem to be
She does have some relationships that be lasting. Gee, I didn't know Trump was black or maybe Scottish till just now. She got some relationships that be lasting. Don't they be lasting, Sonny? Whoops. All right, sorry. Jamie, pull up that thing about the friends that I have. You know, the guys I hang out with. Put it up on the screen, Jamie. Put up on screen. Yeah, put the up on the screen. Yeah, all the guys that I've hung out with more than once, where I don't have to. What do you mean there aren't any? What do you mean? There's got to be some guys I hang out with that I don't have to be drunk to actually be friendly. There aren't? So I'm either drunk or high with friends, or I'm sober and I live a vacuous, empty... Bring up the video of me smoking weed with my friends.
a survivor. Because remember, she was the first one out, and all of a sudden she's...
Okay, by the way, this whole thing.
She does seem to have some relationships that be lasting, and she does seem to...
She does have some relationships that be lasting. They be lasting, those relationships.
Be a survivor.
And she's not going to give up.
Because remember, she was the first one out, and all of a sudden she's running for president, and the...
No, not all of a sudden, motherfucker. That was 4 years ago. That was 4 fucking years ago. It wasn't all of a sudden. She was the first one out in early 2019, dum-dum. What are you talking about? She's... What? This is... Honest to God, I think this motherfucker thinks she joined the ticket in 2023.
The other 21 people that are running, they're sitting home watching her on television, right? So...
No, not right. They've watched her. They've been, first of all, most of them are still in office someplace else. And they're watching her be vice president for the last 4 years, you fucking weirdo.
Oh, that's by far the toughest question I've had today. Thank you very much.
I appreciate your answer.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, President Trump. We've reached the end of our historic conversation. Thanks again for being here with us and answering the questions of Latino voters.
Thank you all very much. It's been an honor. Go out and vote. Thank you. Thank you.
Go out and vote. Don't vote for her, though. Yeah, so that was the end of that horse shit. Man, oh, Shevitz. If I may, chat room, by the way, hit that like, share the show. It's HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. I'm just saying. Oh, you clipped it? Do we get clips? Have clips happening? If you're on Twitch, you can make little clips of the show and share them. That's a good time. And I believe you can clip the show on YouTube as well. Yes? Okay. Anyways, I wish we could clip it on Instagram. Does anybody know how to do that? We'll figure it out later. Because I've got the long form on there, but I'm so annoying. I wish it was easier, but it's not. Follow the yellow brick road. Thanks, Dave. All right. Peanut butter dickhead. All right. Now, let's see. Is there... Yeah, this isn't long. This is... we covered in the first show earlier today, and if you haven't seen it, please go back and watch it. It's a good time. We covered Bret Baier's interview with Kamala Harris, where she thoroughly dunked on him. Now, let's see what his takeaway was from it. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may... this would be Bret Baier. Kamala Harris wanted a viral moment, and she got it, baby.
And the man of the hour joins us now. Bret, good morning to you, and thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning.
You've had 15 hours now to marinate over this. What did?
First of all, what's with the fucking sibilance at Fox News? There was a huge fucking like tooth whistle during Brett Baer's interview, and everybody there is fucking sharp. I don't know who fucking kicked the audio gear there and dislodged one of the plugs or something, but it's fucking awful.
What did you think about how it went?
He's pursing his mouth. That's not going well. He's doing the same thing. She looks panicked. They obviously know she did just fine.
You know, guys, good morning. I left there right after the interview, and I thought, wow, this was really a lot more contentious than I thought it was.
Really? You didn't realize you were being a douchebag? Often douchebags don't know that.
There was a lot of filibustering. I didn't really want to keep on interrupting, but if I didn't,
but you had to.
I thought there were maybe be 4 answers total in the interview. I think I came away.
And you were worried there would be any?
There were moments that clearly she prepared for, that I think she wanted to.
What? She prepared? What you mean? I thought the job of being president was just free balling it. You know what I mean? Just fuck it, let's see what's doing. You know, you show up to work to be president every morning around 11 o'clock after you've golfed and spanked, one out, knocked one out and maybe shower, maybe you don't. It's really your president what are they going to do? You got a body man like Walt there. He's got wet naps. You're fine. You roll in there with a handful of Dungeons and Dragons dice, and then you go 1 through 6, and they go 4, and you pull out a 12-sided dice, and then they give you a couple of options on something that happens, and you just roll it, and you go, we're doing number 7. And they go, what's the number 7? You go, figure it out. And then you go back to golfing. I thought isn't that how presidenting is done?
To have the viral moment. And she got it. And I think her campaign was happy with that. I think there were things that Mark played.
Are you happy, though? Are you? Brett, what's going on with you? Why are we always talking about her? Why aren't we talking about your feelings? What exactly are you hiding, Brett?
Played and some other moments where I think a lot of people looking back at the transcript are going to say, wow, that's interesting. It's newsy. It's not what she usually answers.
Yeah, that's what you want from your on-camera interview. If people go back and look at the transcript. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and they'll do that. Don't worry. I'm sure. Don't worry, Brett. Yeah, we'll read pieces of the transcript, buddy. Great work.
One of the things you talked about at some length was immigration. And if you pull up...
At some length. It was the only thing you wanted to talk about.
Number 1, this is about her reaction, the Biden-Harris reaction to migrant crime.
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that.
So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss. Sincerely.
Yeah, but and what they want is for you to go, I'm sorry I caused this. Cool, print the ad. Like, she's not falling for it, dumb fuck. And also, again, Laken Riley's killer was here because of a special deferment, the DED program that Donald Trump put in his last day in office.
But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
One thing I noticed is that she didn't really seem to have a way to say, so here's what I'm going to do differently going forward.
She doesn't have to. There's a whole fucking bill, stupid. There's a bill. Here's what she said. She'll sign the border bill. Go look at the border bill. Look at what's in it. Look at how it improves the situation. That's what she'll do differently. And then she says she will faithfully execute the laws of the country, something that Donald Trump has continually failed to do.
Opportunity to do that. That could have been an opportunity missed.
My Lord.
Yeah, and listen, Dana, that's the key thing about immigration is that the 94 executive orders that were rescinded in the first days of the Biden-Harris administration, they opened the door. They took away.
Yeah, by the way, the 94 that they rescinded were not all about immigration, for the record. And the biggest thing that impacted the number of people crossing the border temporarily was the implementation of Title 42. That's what caused the number of people crossing the border. Trump tried to use that as a way of punting people out, using COVID, essentially using Title 42 as a way of knocking people out without adjudicating their case. But when you do that, they can come in as many times as they want without getting a ding on their record that would make it impossible for them to become a citizen later. So you can keep coming back, and it created a fucking revolving door at the border. Kick somebody out, they come back in. Kick somebody out, they come back in. The first time they're up there, they pay $8,000 to cross the border. The next time they don't have $8,000 anymore, so they carry drugs, or they help transport somebody else across, or they carry goods, or they carry guns, or whatever, or bring guns back, or send shit from the inside. They pack up money and mail it back. They're in charge on picking up packages and delivering them to somebody else. They're given these like errands inside the country, delivering drugs or guns or money, that kind of stuff, so that they can get, as a payment to the coyote. And then they get kicked out, same shit. And each time they have to go back over, the debt gets higher. They have to do worse shit if they want to get into the country. And at that point, especially if they have a child that's already in the country that they're just trying to get to, they'll do next to anything just to get fucking in here.
Away the catch and release. They took away Remain in Mexico.
Title 42 eliminated Remain in Mexico. You didn't have to remain in Mexico. You didn't get a ding on your record for crossing the border under Title 42. You do under Title 8. Title 8, you're adjudicated, you get kicked out, you try to come back in, there's jail time. Title 42, they kick you out, they don't bother to check you. So since you haven't received any kind of legal representation, you haven't gone through any kind of a system, you haven't, there's no mark on your record. So you can just keep trying. And that created a fucking, one of those, human walkways and a revolving door where they just come across and back and come across and back and come across and back. And nobody could do anything about it.
And that's the whole thing.
That's why we have so many, you'll hear the word encounter a lot. You'll hear encounter all over the place. The reason they say encounter, because it's the same person 5 times.
I mean, she wants to talk about this bill that they dropped first, which was kind of an amnesty bill to pat the...
Was it kind of an amnesty, but was it kind of? Well, here, let's, shall we look it up? The Citizenship Act of 2021. The U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, there you go, is a immigration reform proposal. U.S. citizenship has been introduced to both House and Senate. Proposal will provide a pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrants, implement a new strategy for physical security at the southern border, and introduce very modest changes to the visa system. The United States immigration system faces 2 challenges. Last time, okay, where is this? This is the American Action Forum, so that'll be the right-wing take on it. Let's find out. Here you go. This is, here you go, January 20th, 2021. Fact sheet. President Biden sends immigration bill to Congress as part of his commitment to modernize our immigration system. Sending a bill to Congress on day 1 to restore humanity and American values to our immigration system. Bill provides hardworking people who enrich our communities every day they've lived here for years, in some cases for decades. That's the DACA thing. Provide pathways to citizenship, strengthen our labor protections. Create an earned roadmap to citizenship for undocumented individuals. The bill allows undocumented individuals to apply for temporary legal status with the ability to apply for green cards after 5 years if they pass criminal and national security background checks and pay their taxes. Dreamers, TPS holders, and immigrant farm workers who meet specific requirements are eligible for green cards immediately under the legislation. After 3 years, all green card holders who pass additional background checks and demonstrate knowledge of English and U.S. civics can apply to become citizens. Applicants must be physically present in the United States on or before January 1st, 2021. On or before January 2021. This is for people already in the country. This has nothing to do with the people that would come. This would not create a get into the country free card. This only applied to people who were there on or before January 1st, 2021, before Biden takes office. It does not apply to anybody after he takes office. The Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security may waive the presence requirement for those deported on or after January 20th, 2017 who were physically present for at least 3 years prior to removal for family unity and other humanitarian purposes. Keep families together. The bill reforms the family-based immigration system by clearing backlogs, recapturing unused visas, eliminating lengthy wait times, and increasing per-country visa caps. It also eliminates the so-called 3 or 10-year bars and other provisions that keep families apart. Embrace diversity. The bill includes the No Ban Act that prohibits discrimination based on religion and limits presidential authority to issue future bans. And this is why a bunch of them shut it down, is because they didn't want to ban based on a religious test, which is a violation of the Constitution anyways. So it would hold up, and Trump's ban would not. The bill also increases diversity visas to 80,000 from 55. Promote immigrant and refugee integration and citizenship. The bill provides new funding to state and local governments, private organizations, educational institutions, community-based organizations, and not-for-profit organizations to expand programs to promote integration and inclusion. Increase English language instruction and provide assistance to individuals seeking to become citizens. The whole thing is they can't integrate, right? These people cannot integrate into our communities. Well, there was stuff in this one to help them do just that and learn English. There you go. Grow our economy. Bill clears employment-based visa backlogs, recaptures unused visas, reducing lengthy wait times, and eliminates per-country visa caps. The bill makes it easier for graduates of U.S. universities with advanced STEM degrees to stay in the United States, improves access to green cards for workers in lower-wage sectors, etc. Protect workers from exploitation, improve the employment verification process. This would be for farm workers. This would be the policy that they would put forward in terms of farm workers. Bill requires the DHS and the Department of Labor establish a commission involving labor, employer, and civil rights organizations to make recommendations for improving the employment verification process. Workers who suffer serious labor violations and cooperate with worker protection agencies will be granted greater access to U visa relief. The bill protects workers who are victims of workplace retaliation from deportation in order to allow labor agencies to interview these workers. It also protects migrant and seasonal workers and increases penalties for employers who violate labor law. Aha! Here's another reason why this bill did not pass. There's another reason why Republicans are against this bill. It increases penalties for employers who violate labor laws. Now, it is against labor laws to hire undocumented immigrants. Prioritize smart border control. Supplement existing border resources with technology and infrastructure. That would be, like ground radar, seismic sensors. That would be, night vision goggles and infrared cameras. That would be like, motion sensors, that kind of stuff. Airports eventually includes high throughput scanning technologies to ensure all commercial and passenger vehicles and freight rail traffic entering the United States at ports of entry along the border undergo pre-primary scanning, which is the stuff that, this is why when you go from like Vegas to Los Angeles, and when I drive back and forth, you go through one of these, do you have any fruit stands, where they make sure you're not bringing fruit from one state to the other, back from, it's like an age-old thing when we used to have different standards for safety, and we've aligned a lot of those things, so it's not as necessary anymore. But they're like, how would they know if somebody's just driving through? They've already picked out your car miles ago. By the time you get to that gate, they're just looking for your license plate. They've already decided they're pulling you over based on shit they saw when you left town. Just for the record. This is the same kind of thing, pre-primary scanning. Also authorizes and provides funding for plans to improve infrastructure or ports of entry to enhance the ability to process asylum seekers and detect, interdict, disrupt, and prevent narcotics from entering the United States. This was already there, and again, Republicans are against it. It authorizes the DHS to develop and implement strategy to manage and secure the southern border between ports of entry that focus on flexible solutions and technologies that expand the ability to detect illicit activity, evaluate the effectiveness of border security operations, and be easily relocated and broken out by Border Patrol sector. To protect privacy, the DHS Inspector General is authorized to conduct oversight to ensure that employed technology effectively serves legitimate agency purposes, so the guys aren't just using it to look down women's shirts as they drive through in traffic. Manage the border and protect border communities. Crack down on criminal organizations. The bill enhances the ability to prosecute individuals involved in smuggling and trafficking networks who are responsible for the exploitation of migrants. It also expands investigations, intelligence collection, and analysis pursuant to the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act to increase sanctions against foreign narcotics traffickers, their organizations, and networks. The bill also requires the FBI, Drug Enforcement Agency, and DHS, in coordination with Secretary of State, to improve and expand transnational anti-gang task forces in Central America. Addresses the root causes of migration. This is the part the Vice President was starting to work on. Start from the source. I can say that. Source. The bill codifies and funds the President's $4 billion 4-year interagency plan to address the underlying causes of migration in the region, which is when they went down there and they discovered that Steve Bannon and people like him were placing ads in South American newspapers saying the border is wide open. Come on up. Improve the immigration courts to protect vulnerable individuals. The bill expands family case management programs, reduce immigration court backlogs, etc. Support asylum seekers and other vulnerable populations. The bill eliminates the 1-year deadline for filing asylum claims and provides funding to reduce asylum application backlogs. That means that this is the same thing that was in the second bill, but so that it's not years and years, it's 90 days. It also increases protections for U visa, T visa, and VAWA applicants, including by raising the cap on U visas from 10,000 to 30. The bill also expands protections for foreign nationals assisting U.S. troops. This would also be this was adding civ protection to the Afghans that helped us. So that's the primary aspects of that first bill they put through. Very little difference, by the way, between this and the bipartisan bill that worked out with Langford and the rest of them. Just saying, for the record. You guys are wonderful. I will let you guys go because I have a show in the morning with our dear friend Rob Glenn, Friday Eye. And then, I don't know, by the way, do we have another guest tomorrow afternoon? I know we had to skip guests because of my travels, and I feel very bad about that. But I don't know, Andrea, if we're able to pick up. There you go. Cell tower, landlines, ready to go, lucky, all good. All right. We're all, I don't know yet. Andrea, let me know if there's going to be a second guest tomorrow after Rob, just, if you can. Univision audience doing the Klingon back turn. Right. CSL. Genius. Need somebody to explain these LGBTQ issues. What do you mean, besides the fact that Project 2025 overturns gay marriage and gay adoption? Beyond the life bonding aspects of marriage, the primary one was that gay people could not visit their partner in the hospital if they were sick or dying or injured. Project 2025 eliminates that. Trump is for it, for the record, even if his daughter is against it. And as far as I know, Melania probably is too. But chicks, am I right? That's the way he views it. They will, he'll definitely implement it. Oh, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, thank you for the birthday gift of voting, everybody. How about Chip as your second guest? It's not a bad idea. Here, hold on. Let me see if I could bring him down. He's been very melancholy since I was gone, and he didn't quite know, how to even deal with it. And it was weird because, I was talking to him, and suddenly the kidney came on, and weird.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hold on, talk amongst yourselves. I'll see if Chip's outside. I already gave him a snack, so I don't think he will be. Nope. Sorry, we'll have a cat in the morning. I'll see if I can start with a cat. How about that? Might be easier. In the meantime, since I'm going on 3 hours sleep, I'm going to finish some work outside of the show to make the show a little bit better, which is what I try to do all the time. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how's that possible? How could this show possibly be any better? And to that I say, kids, you leave that to me. Look out. IWillVote.com, everybody.